Today I want to look at how we can cultivate self-respect. Respect is one of those things that if you don't show it to yourself, you don't practice it and teach people what to be doing around you, then people are very quick to take your kindness for weakness and start walking all over you. Which is why it's so important for us to practice and understand what self-respect means and how we can teach others how to treat us. If you haven't been to my page, welcome. I'm Hamasa. I look at personal development, emotional and mental well-being, day-to-day issues. Do subscribe so that you're up to date with my content. This week's video kind of goes on par with the previous two that I posted in terms of just your sense of self. Because there are a number of things that add up and are crucial to establish your identity and who you are, and teaching people around you how to treat you, your likes and dislikes, your boundaries. So every time I do one of these videos, it seems like, oh my God, this is the most important thing for you to know in order to know yourself. But to be honest, each one of these things, like knowing your authentic self, developing self-worth, confidence, self-respect, they do go hand in hand, and they are all rooted in the same thing, which is you having a strong self-esteem and a belief system in yourself enough to establish your place in the world and take up space. That's what basically all of these things are. The more you know yourself, the more you have self-awareness, the better judge of character you become towards others. First of all, you can judge and decide a situation based on your likes and dislikes, your boundaries, your level of self-respect. So you're already eliminating people and situations that don't suit you or serve you, because you know yourself enough to know that I know where this is going, and I know I'm not going to like this. I've been there before. I learned from it. I'm not going to put myself in that position again. So their sense of protection as well. That's why they may seem a little bit repetitive or they overlap, but that's because they are all things, important, vital factors to establish you. And each one plays a part, but they do cross over. Self-respect being one of them, that really stems again to self-esteem. Having a good self-esteem means that despite what people think of you, despite the validation that you're going to get from others, you'll still be okay with it. You're still okay with losing people that don't respect you, and it's not your loss because they were disrespectful anyway. So there are a number of things that you can do. There are sometimes situations that people are just outright mean and disrespectful, which means that you have to remove yourself. But if you find that this kind of treatment happens more often than not, where you're kind of dismissed, you're disrespected, your word isn't listened to, your opinion isn't taken into account, you're not really considered, your feelings and things, you're expected to always just tag along, not put up a fight, and all of those things are indications that there may be something that you're doing that's allowing people to think it's okay to treat you like that. So what are those things that you may be doing that you find yourself in these friendships and situations that people tend to treat you the same way? So look at that, analyze it. And some of the main ones is like, you cannot say no. So if people know that you're the one who will always agree and say yes, then they will always call you for things, because they know if they call XYZ, they're gonna be busy, or they're gonna make excuses, or it's as and when. So therefore, who's the easy target? You. So you need to learn to be able to say no to things that don't feel right for you. You're exhausted, you don't have the capacity, you don't have the capability, and you just don't want to do it. So learn to say no. I have a video on that. For people who lack self-esteem, or for people who don't like upsetting people or causing a commotion or a confrontation, something as easy as saying no is incredibly difficult. And I understand that, and I've done a video on it, which I'll link for you guys, because it's important to learn to be able to say no. That's one of the first steps of establishing boundaries. So it is a key skill that we need to possess in order to become more self-aware. So being able to say no is one of them. Speaking up when you feel that an injustice is being done. Now, either way, you're going to be miserable. Because if an injustice is being done to you and you're not happy about it, you're not going to be happy about it. But if you speak up and that has consequences, you're not going to be happy about it. But what's the difference here? One of them, you stay true to yourself and you fought your corner, and it's a sense of being. It gave you a purpose. Or you could still be miserable and just coast along and be more miserable because you were in the shower and you're replaying this conversation in your head and you're realizing that I should have, could have, and would have done and said these things. And then you beat yourself up for it. So would you rather say what you got to say, stand up for yourself, and then deal with the consequences, or not do anything and then deal with bigger consequences, pay a bigger price, and either way still feel miserable? Make a choice. You're an adult, you're safe, you're fine. Understand that if these people don't like you standing up for yourself, they don't respect you, and that's okay. They don't need to be in your lives. They don't need to be that close to you. If you offend them, they are continuously offending you. So maybe it's okay for you to stand up for yourself, and if that offends them, then be it, because they don't seem to care about your feelings. So why is it that you care so much about their feelings? You've got to learn to put yourself above others. Third thing is to understand that the same way that you want to make everybody else happy and you prioritize other people's happiness, is that there is no guilt in prioritizing your own happiness and doing things that you want to do. I think with people who lack self-esteem is that they tend to over-explain things. So if you want to do things that makes you happy, you don't owe anyone anything. You can just say what you want to say, do what you want to do, and stick with it if they feel true to you. And if they're not harming other people, then what is the harm? So don't feel guilty in doing things that makes you happy. You want to have a chocolate cake for breakfast once in a blue moon and it makes you really happy, have the chocolate cake. And you don't need to explain it to other people. I mean, it's not very healthy, but if it happens once in a blue moon and it really makes you feel good, then go ahead and do that. The next thing would be that you don't always have to be happy and just cheerful, because people who are continuously nice and happy at all times and just kill themselves to keep other people happy is a sign of people pleasing, and nobody respects people pleasers. It's very evident to see. And unfortunately, the intention always that for you to be pleasing people, you are not doing it to please people. It's just that that's the only way you know how to be, because you've been conditioned that way from a young age, that if you're not nice to your parents, to your primary caregivers, then you don't get rewarded or you don't get affection. So it's not necessarily that you people please because you have an ulterior motive. Most times, sometimes that's the case, and sometimes it's not the case. It's just how you are. But in either case, when people are excessively nice, it makes the other person suspicious. And even if you may not have an ulterior motive, they start questioning that, because it's unnatural for someone to be so nice all the time, so happy all the time. It's not human. So it makes you question it. It makes you uncomfortable and on edge, because it's like, well, it's impossible for someone to just be like, at all times. So it's okay not to be that. And if anything, people will respect you more. If you're having a down day, you're not going to cheer and jump for them at every single thing they do. That's okay. You don't need to be that, because people don't respect that anyway. Be true to yourself and understand that I'm allowed to feel low. I'm allowed to feel sad. I'm allowed to not just be cheerful at all times. And people who are my friends would be okay with that, because they're not always happy and cheerful. So I'm only human. You don't need to always be the cheerleader of the group. Of course, support your friends. Of course, show love. But when you mean it, because when you don't mean it, it's very easy for people to pick up on that. So always genuine and always true to yourself is what commands self-respect and what commands other people to respect you. Of course, we're going to talk about boundaries, because boundaries are the basis of establishing respect. Boundaries isn't giving people ultimatums. It's letting people know what you're okay with and what not. Is, if anything, you're trying to improve the relationship or trying to salvage it because you care enough to let the person know that I'm not okay with this. Please fix it because I want you in my life. I want to get over this and be cool with you. And in order for me to do that, you need to respect my boundary. If you don't speak up for your boundaries, you don't set them, you don't let people know, you don't stick to your guns, they will keep continuing to take advantage, making you unhappy. You're not really sticking up for yourself. It's not their fault. And it will draw a wedge between you and make it fall apart. So if you ever want to save something, you respect it, then that's when you speak up. I care about you enough to let you know that this has upset me and we need to work on it and fix it. So it's the opposite, on the contrary of an ultimatum. You're not pushing people out, you're giving them a chance to rectify so that they can be in your life. That's why boundaries are very important, and it's you establishing what's okay around you and what's not. And the minute someone crosses that boundary repeatedly, then they don't have respect for you, and it's very evident to see. Simple example would be when someone's visiting your house. If a friend always comes over to watch movies, but they don't respect your space and your house, and you've asked them nicely, like walking with muddy shoes, putting feet on the couch, leaving wrappers all over the place, causing a mess, those are signs that they don't, and you've asked them nicely and they don't listen, they just don't respect your space or don't respect you. So this is where it's like, you know what, no, I'd rather you don't come to my house. Either we go to your house or we go somewhere out and watch a movie, because I don't need this around me. And they know not to do that again. And another thing that people who lack self-respect or self-esteem do is overly apologize, whether it's their fault or not, because they want to keep the peace. Again, because they want to keep people happy. They don't want confrontation. They're scared of the consequences. They tend to apologize in parts where it's not even their fault. So what happens with people that are in an argument with you, when they know that you're going to apologize and make up for it anyway, they don't respect you or your feelings, because it's like, well, I know I did wrong. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have done that. But they're going to come back and apologize to me anyway. And we're going to be fine. And I'm just going to pretend like, all right, fine, I'll forgive you. And they get away with continuously disrespecting you. So only apologize, one, when you mean it, and two, when it's justifiable and the apology is warranted. Not just because at all times, just keep apologizing to keep the peace. And finally, display confident body language. Your body language, how you carry yourself, is a huge indicator of whether people respect you or not, because they usually judge or figure out whether they like you or not in the first 30 seconds. So like, they meet you and they know whether they like you or not. So if you don't display like shoulders back, head up high, you're sure of yourself, you come in, you greet them, eye contact, all of that, that's displaying that I command your attention, I command respect, I'm taking space in the room. Respect me. You come there like this, like, hi. Of course, that's not going to have the same effect if this is the first time someone's meeting you and they're judging you on that. So display confident body language, own who you are. You are special, you are unique, and show the world that. I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you have, please do subscribe to my page, like and comment on this video, share it with someone who may need it, and I will see you guys here again very soon. Thank you so much for watching. Mwah.